How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my recap for UFC Vegas 90, Allen vs. Curtis 2. I did super good on picks, 9-3 actually to be exact. I went 3-0 on my confident picks because I'm a fucking god. They were also probably the easiest fights. The card was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie, had a lot of fun fights on there. A lot of controversy on the main card, which I'm about to get into, but good card in general. We got UFC 300 this Saturday, but let's talk about this card first. Let's start with the main event. Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis 2. Insane fight. I think people calling it the fight of the year might be a little out of whack, but it was a very insane fight. A lot of fun shit happened. And, of course, there's controversy in it. Of course, because every close fight is a robbery, I guess. I just rewatched it. All 25 minutes. I scored it myself. The first round is probably the most clear round of the entire fight. Brendan Allen outstruck Chris Curtis, landed the better shots. Chris Curtis couldn't really find anything. He landed a couple of good left hands in the first round, but Brendan Allen had some body kicks, some nice low kicks. Kind of just prodded at him with his ones and twos. Very easy round. Round one is definitely Brendan Allen. Round two, Brendan Allen is winning it for the most part. In the first, half of the round, Brendan Allen is in significant control. He's outlanding Chris Curtis. The final 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Chris Curtis finds his range. He's starting to prod and pick at Brendan Allen with body shots. He lands some nice left hooks and right hooks. At one point, he lands the same right hook that ended Brendan Allen in their first fight, but Brendan Allen eats it. Chris Curtis definitely takes round two just based off his performance in the last minute. Brendan Allen was kind of getting pieced up at the end. Round three. Round three is very close. The way I look at it is besides the rocking punch that Brendan Allen got hit with by Chris Curtis, Brendan Allen was winning the round pretty much the entire time prior to the shot, and he ended up landing a shot of his own after he got rocked. And then he got the back of Chris Curtis, and he landed some nice shots after that. This round is probably the closest of them all. Because before, if you take away the rock, Brendan Allen won. But if you add the rock, then I can see how you score the round of Chris Curtis. I think that if you're going to judge it based off damage, you have to go with Chris Curtis, though. Because damage-based scoring is what UFC goes by. It's what MMA should go by. Chris Curtis did more damage. So I could understand you scoring that round for Chris Curtis. I can also understand a 10-9 for Brendan Allen because Brendan Allen was landing more and more and more. But the rock, I think it kind of just nullifies everything Brendan Allen did. So going into the fourth, it is 29-28 to Chris Curtis. The fourth round, it's mostly exactly like the third, but vice versa. Chris Curtis is winning the round for the most part up until the last minute 30 to minute 40. Brendan Allen starts landing nasty shots on Chris Curtis, landing stepping elbows, landing swift right hands. He's clipping Chris Curtis, and then he takes him down, gets his back, and it's literally the opposite of round three minus a rock. It's just that Brendan Allen lands more significantly and gets his back and lands some nice stuff. So round four, probably 10-9 Brendan Allen. So going into the fifth, on my scorecard, I have it 38-38, all even. Round five is one of the weirdest rounds to score in MMA history. Because they're both exchanging shots. Prior to Brendan Allen shooting for takedowns and failing them, it's pretty even. Chris Curtis is probably landing the better shots. Brendan Allen then starts shooting for takedowns, can't get them. There was a big knee that landed, but it didn't really land. It landed on the armpit, so that doesn't even really count. Later in the round, Brendan Allen shooting for takedowns, missing them. Chris Curtis, for the most part, isn't even capitalizing on having Brendan Allen in a bad position. He's just I want to get up, I want to keep it standing. But then on the second one, he begins to throw some shots, then he stands up. The ground and pound shots, he landed 8 in total. some to the leg, some to the body. He tried to do like little underhook shots on the head of Brendan Allen that probably did like no damage. We get up. Brendan Allen's looking like war-torn and shit. He's shooting for takedowns, throwing ones and twos, but missing them. Then we get to the final minute, and Brendan Allen shoots again. Chris Curtis seemingly lands a big knee, but then Brendan Allen gets his back. He gets his back twice with a minute left. By the way, Brendan Allen's ability to get the back is some of the best I've ever seen in my life. He gets it so seamlessly, and he was taken down. Chris Curtis throughout the whole fight, who seemingly has the best takedown defense at middleweight. And the final 30 seconds, they just separated from a takedown attempt. Chris Curtis got back up. Brendan shoots again, gets his back, and then they stand back up. He doesn't get his back, he almost does. And Chris Curtis stands up, and in the replay you can see something happen with his leg. I think it was his right. And in the final 15 seconds, Chris Curtis is hobbling near the cage, and Brendan Allen bum rushes him, lands a flying knee, lands a head kick, is just piecing up Chris Curtis in the final 15 seconds. But the thing is, to the judges, they're not going to see that he hurt his leg. They're going to see that he's hobbling, and they're just going to, because Chris is wobbling all over the place, so they probably think that the flying knee landed and rocked Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis falls into a heap at the ground of Brendan Allen after the fight's over, and Chris Curtis looks like the better fighter in the 5th round. But I think you have to give the round to Brendan Allen. So my final scorecard's 48-47 Brendan Allen. I understand you can give the 5th to Chris Curtis, but, and it sucks to say that an injury literally won Brendan Allen this fight, but an injury won Brendan Allen this fight. If Chris Curtis doesn't hurt his hamstring and doesn't tear it in the final 15 seconds, extremely aggravated, he wins. Chris Curtis is a top 6 middleweight at that point. But since he injured it, well, Brendan Allen wins off of damage. So, very fun fight. My scorecard, 48-47. I was not super impressed with Brendan Allen. I thought he would have made this look easier. But then again, Chris Curtis is a tough out for anybody. He's got great takedown defense. He's got slick boxing. But a lot of people are like, well, what would Marvin do to this guy? I think Brendan Allen beats the shit out of Marvin Vettori, if I'm being honest. I think Marvin Vettori is one of the worst top 5 middleweights in the planet. I don't think he's that good. I think he honestly sucks. The only thing that carries Marvin Vettori is his head. He's just very durable. That's about it. He tries too hard to be good. And I think Brendan Allen fucking smokes. I think he smokes Marvin Vettori. And, yeah, it would be a tough out for sure. But not super impressed with Brendan Allen, but he did win. So, yeah. We move to the co-main event. Damon Jackson beat Alexander Hernandez. This fight also kind of weird judging. I honestly believe Alexander Hernandez could have been given this decision off of damage. I will admit Damon Jackson definitely looked better in this fight than most of his previous performances. He was able to avoid a lot of damage from Alexander Hernandez up until the 3rd round when he got knocked down. But he made it dirty, man. And that's all you need to do to beat a guy like Alexander Hernandez is make it a dirty fight. And Damon Jackson was able to do that. But also, Alexander Hernandez was landing some solid strikes in the clinch, landing at range, but Damon was also landing at range. This fight, honestly, 29-28 either way, I'm not mad at it. I think Damon Jackson I think they gave him the nod. He honestly deserved it more than Alexander Hernandez just because Alexander is so unprofessional and missed weight. So, yeah, honestly could have gone to either guy, but I'm not mad at it. We move to the featured fight. Chepe Mariscal got the decision win over Morgan Sheriri. Again, another weird decision. Honestly, I thought Morgan also could have won this fight. It really depends on how you view the clinch work of Chepe Mariscal in the first 2 rounds. I gave the 3rd to Chepe, based on him doing more work at the end of the round when he was landing some solid ground and pound and good clinch strikes on Morgan Shirley off of mistakes that Morgan made. But I feel like off of visible damage and just damage in general, I think you could have given the first 2 rounds to Morgan Shirley. The first round was very close. From what I remember, I think it was a lot of clinching from Chepe, but Morgan was landing some stuff as well. I don't know. I haven't rewatched it because this is a late upload. I forgot about this video entirely, if I'm being honest. I'm getting swamped with schoolwork. But, yeah, another reason for me to hate Chepe Mariscal as he beats yet another highly touted contender. I don't know if you consider Trevor Peek a highly touted, but, like, fun contender. Just fucking... Fuck you, Chepe. Fuck you. We move to Ignacio Bahamondes taking out the trash against Christos Giagos. A lot of people are impressed with Ignacio Bahamondes' performances, as long as I am. Curtis Blades moment, as well as I. A lot of people also are saying Christos Giagos isn't a very good fighter, but Ignacio Bahamondes had a performance that you should have as a young, touted contender against Christos Giagos. Daniel Zellhuber getting clipped, almost losing the first round. Yeah, I think Ignacio Bahamondes, he made light work of Christos Giagos. He's using his legs again. He threw a lot of kicks in this fight, a lot of body kicks. The head kick, of course, is the highlight reel. Knocked him out with a flush lead head kick. I mean, holy fuck, it's about as flush as you can get. He also rocked him earlier in the fight. He threw a spinning wheel kick, caught him, and then right after that he threw a spinning back kick to the body. There is a difference between wheel and back. And then after that he caught him with a punch when Christos was coming in and gave him wobbly legs. I think like 30 or a minute later. Boom, flush head kick. Down goes Christos Giagos. Walk-off KO for the young Chilean. I like this version of Ignacio Bahamondes. Let's see this every single time. Use your legs, kid. You're so fucking good. Holy shit. We move to the best fight of the entire card. Holy shit. Charlie Campbell defeated Trevor Peek by decision. This fight was insane. Basically, Charlie Campbell in the first round absolutely neutralized everything Trevor Peek had with a series of leg kicks using the clinch. Trevor was whiffing a lot of his shots in the first round, mostly due to his leg damage. But as the fight went on, man, watching Charlie Campbell, one of our own, of course, here at UFC Thoughts, he is really scary to watch as a fan of him because his chin, I mean, holy shit, dude. It's like watching Alex Pereira. I'm scared he'll get KO'd at any second. He got clipped in the second round pretty damn bad, and Trevor, oh shit. Trevor's, oh my god, I dropped my mic. Trevor's blockhead, of course, just fucking rushes the finish, gets taken down. The whole fight, Charlie Campbell just kind of outwilled Trevor Peek everywhere. Charlie's got a hell of a mindset. In the second round, even after getting clipped, he was able to get his bearings back, clip Trevor Peek back. He got him to ground multiple times. In the third round, after the second, Charlie didn't even look like he could get up. In the third, he rallied so damn hard, got kind of caught again, and then just absolutely smudged Trevor Peek into the canvas. Trevor couldn't get up. He was so tired. He got up maybe like once. I think he legit just stood up from a back take. He kind of just stood up. He was like, no more ground, and then just stood up, and Charlie was like, ah, and then took him down again. I love both these dudes. Charlie's looking better and better in these UFC performances, looking very reserved. Trevor Peek, he lost another one, but he got re-signed, so that's all that matters. We love Trevor Peek around here. We move to the featured prelim. Alex Morono beat Court McGee by decision. Now, honestly, this was a very weird fight to watch. Also very scary as a picker of Alex Morono. Alex in the first round kind of just beat up Court McGee. A lot of straight shots. Threw a couple spinny stuff. He threw one spinning wheel kick or whatever. He kind of was just tagging up Court McGee. Court McGee couldn't really get going. In the second round, Court McGee shoots a takedown very early, gets caught in a guillotine, looks super tight, but then Court gets out of it and just starts smashing Alex Morono on the ground. Pause. just starts beating him up on the ground, holds him down for the entire round. Going into the third round, I was like, well, Court's got a lot of momentum. He's going to shoot again. And I don't think Court shot again for the fight. I think he reserved it to a standing contest. And in the third round, very close on the feet still. But Alex Morono landed, I think, harder strikes. Just kind of outpointed him a little bit. And he obviously won the decision. As Alex Morono, by the way, I hate him. Not him, I hate his style of fighting where his stance bothers me so much. He looks so unorthodox. He looks like he shouldn't be a fighter. But as a guy who's picked him in his most recent fights, besides the Joaquin Buckley one, this guy went from going to a close decision with Joaquin Buckley to a close decision with Court McGee, which I don't think you can do that if you're going to try and fight the top echelon of welterweight guys. You can't be almost losing to Court McGee in 2024. Court McGee hasn't looked that great in a while. So, yeah, I was more impressed with Court McGee, to be honest. We moved to Lucas Brzezinski versus Valter Walker. Lucas Brzezinski got the decision, and I don't really know what to say about this one. Very disappointed with Valter Walker. I honestly thought he would be able to do more on the ground, hence Lucas Brzezinski's tenure in the UFC. He hasn't looked all that great on the ground. I mean, Carl Williams was thrashing this dude around, able to get to dominant positions. Valter Walker definitely showed some potential on the ground with some ground and pound, good ground transitions, getting the top mount pretty easily when he was able to get him flat on his back. I was super impressed with Lucas Brzezinski in this fight. He really proved me wrong. Valter Walker, I knew he was super plotty going into this. I knew he doesn't throw much, but God, does he not throw anything. He is a picture in the octagon. He doesn't throw anything. He also looked really fat. Like, that's not even like a joke. On the regional scene, Valter Walker kind of had some definition to his body. In this fight, he legit looked like the fucking Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. Still a very close fight, if that makes anything. Valter Walker loses his O. A lot of people are crying robbery. I don't think so, honestly. I think you can argue on damage that Lucas did more in basically almost every round, besides maybe the first. In the third, it's close, but, he outworked Valter a little bit. I don't really care. I don't think he deserved to win anyways, having a close fight with Lucas Brzezinski. Can't wait to see him lose his next one, too, unless they feed him in, an absolute, tomato can of a fighter. And also, why were they dick-sucking Valter so there? Lucas Brzezinski looks tired! Shut the fuck up. No, he doesn't. If anyone looks tired, it's Valter Walker, who is taking 2 steps per fucking 30 seconds, and who is shelling up against the cage, you fat oaf. We move to Norma Dumont, defeating Germaine de Randamie in her triumphant return. This fight, again, I thought was pretty close, honestly. The tale of the story is mostly Norma getting the best over Germaine on the ground and in the clinch. Germaine was kind of tagging her up on the feet, though, throwing some good clinch strikes. On damage, you can kind of argue for Germaine to win, because Norma really didn't do a lot of damage on the ground. But I don't care, because I picked Norma Dumont. I'm kidding. Norma did some good work. She was threatening submissions, got great positions, which do count for points. And Norma didn't look like entirely hurt by anything that Germaine threw. So, very close fight again, but I think that the right person won. And Norma, now, that's a really good win under her belt. No, the context, if you take it away, the context of her being away, no one else has beat Germaine in the UFC other than Amanda Nunes. So, pretty stellar win for Norma Dumont. We move to Victor Hugo defeating Pedro Valcal via decision. I don't know why it took me so long to say that. The story of this fight is mostly that the short notice really played a part on Pedro Valcal. He gassed out pretty hard and Victor Hugo kind of just put a pace on him that he couldn't keep because he took it on such short notice. Kind of sucks to see. Pedro actually looked pretty decent early on, threatening clinch exchanges, takedown attempts, kind of looked good on the feet, landing some stuff on Victor Hugo. But Victor Hugo kind of styled on him from round 2 and so forth, landing a lot of left hooks, kind of landing a lot of kicks to the body, landing a lot of kicks to the head as well. Victor Hugo is a very style-heavy fighter. He loves a lot of style and pizzazz, throws a lot of spinning shit. And Victor Hugo, he does throw a lot of spinning shit, but he hasn't been Weidman'd yet, which is good, because he did at one point almost get Weidman, but then he immediately regained clinch control, which is a good sign that he is able to control those weapons. Pretty impressed with Victor Hugo's debut. Of course, he missed weight for his original debut that was supposed to happen, and it canceled the fight. Also, by the way, Pedro Falcao, good on you for making weight, my friend. You should be a stable and a fucking benchmark for any of these fucking UFC fighters missing weight on full fucking camps. You made weight on 3 days. You are a fucking legend, and I can't wait to see you fight again, because you actually do have a lot of potential. Yeah, just fight more often, dude. And Victor Hugo, again, very impressed with his striking and ability to negate clinch control and ground damage. So, yeah, good fight for both guys, considering that Pedro took it on such short notice. We move to Jean Matsumoto, who subbed Dan Argueta in the second round. This fight was fucking wild. Dan Argueta shows how to grapple offensively in this fight, as everybody else on this card who tried to wrestle should take his take what he did. He got to dominant positions, threw a lot of ground and pound, was putting on a heavy pace on the young Jean Matsumoto. And at first, early in this fight, I was actually kind of nervous because he was actually kind of piecing up Jean. Jean was he was in bad positions, but he was able to get up, which is very good to see from a kid who's as young as he is, and was able to improvise as much as he did. In the second round, with about 10 seconds left, Dan Argueta kind of just ran at him, put his head under his armpit, and got caught in a very, very deep guillotine. And some people are like, why did he tap? Because Dan Argueta kind of taps with like a second left to go in the round. But when he taps and he gets released, Dan Argueta is literally like unconscious. And he pops up, his eyes are wide open, and he's like his bottom jaw is like sunken into his skull. And he's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. He has like no jawline at that point, because he's like sucking in so much air. He's like, why did you not just wait it out? He would have gone unconscious if he didn't. He was going out anyways. There's no point. He got released a second early. Imagine if that choke was 1 second more. He wouldn't even bounce back up the way he did. Very impressed with both guys, if I'm being honest. Dan Argueta did show why he was seen as such a touted contender, as the pace he was pushing on Jean was very impressive. And Jean Matsumoto shows why he is a contender. Subbing Dan Argueta, which I don't think has been done yet. And also, he just looked very good. His stand-up looked crisp against a guy who was just pushing such an insane pace, landing good counter shots. Very excited for the young Jean Matsumoto. We move to Cesar Almeida making his debut and finishing Dylan Budka in the most satisfying way possible. Dylan Budka, a lot of people were picking him, including MMA Guru, for like his credentialed wrestling. He had a lot of like accolades from college. But if you just like watch any of his, like especially his Contender Series fight, he didn't look all that good. Like his clinch was kind of he's a smudge guy, as some people will he's a smudger, and we saw that really hard in this fight. All he was doing was smudging Cesar Almeida, throwing like maybe one strike per minute. Cesar Almeida, like I said on the Contender Series, he looked very impressive for a kickboxer in the clinch and on the ground. He looked very impressive, and he looked even more impressive against Dylan Budka, who was an even more tenured grappler. And a lot of people were like, if that guy on the Contender Series was able to do that. That guy on the Contender Series was like as tall as Cesar Almeida and super explosive. It was Fernando, I think. Something Fernando. Dylan Budka sucks. I hate to say he sucks, alright? When he's not able to get takedowns, his striking looked dog shit beside his lead head kick. Cesar Almeida just made him gas himself out, and then he finished him against the fence Well, starting with a front kick, and then I think he just started wailing on him. And Dylan Budka folded like a little baby. Like a little baby. I was so happy when I got this pick right, dude. I was like, fuck yeah, Caesar. Yeah! I'm also recording this video so late that the news just broke that Cesar Almeida already has his second fight booked against Roman Kopylov, which that should be a very fun fight. I don't know who I'm going to pick in that one. That's a really hard fight to pick, if I'm being honest. We move to Nora Cornell winning as a heavy underdog against Melissa Mullins. Another pick I got right, motherfuckers. Yeah! Yeah, in this fight, it proved to me all I needed to see. Melissa Mullins isn't really all that good, and neither is Nora Cornell, may I say. She impressed me a little bit, again, with the way she was able to negate the clinch. And some people were giving that first round to Melissa Mullins. She did absolutely nothing in the clinch. Like, I know some people were so, like, coping whenever they picked Melissa Mullins. They were like, well, she won the first round. You can argue she didn't. She didn't land, like, anything of substance. And in the second round, she was doing the same thing again, just holding on, throwing nothing. Nora Cornell was landing body knees, landing more damage than control, because that's how the scoring criteria works. Remember that, fellas. And, I mean, she was just out-damaging her. And then they move away from each other, they separate, and Melissa runs right into the knee of Nora Cornell. Now, when I watched it, I was like, that knee didn't look as hard as it did. And it still doesn't. I think Melissa Mullins was just so exhausted already into the fight that the knee, it landed kind of near her liver, so I can understand. She kind of shut down, dropped a little bit. And Nora Cornell, holy shit, she absolutely obliterated Melissa after she saw one sign of weakness. Blasted a head kick. Blasted another head kick, just finished her against the fence, and then she was like, "Wah!" So good shit from Nora Cornell. I had a really good feeling that this was gonna happen, because I just don't think Melissa Mullins is all that good. And Nora Cornell, she already fought a big lady in Jocelyn Edwards, and she was able to shuck her off. Fuck anyone that picked Melissa Mullins is low-key dumb, let's be honest. UFC Vegas 90 was actually kind of fun. And like I said, every time there's a sleeper card, usually those fights are usually the best. Because those guys want something to prove, because they see all the comments you guys are making saying, this card fucking sucks. We had an insane main event that a lot of you guys were clowning. Fuck anyone who was clowning this card. I was one of them. But that doesn't... I knew there were some fights on here, but I didn't think they were going to be as fun as they did. There was a lot more finishes than I thought there would be as well. But yeah, we have UFC 300 this Saturday. And also, I'm back in the swing of things. After the 3-week turmoil of going negative, I think 3 weeks in a row, which I've been doing this since fucking, Walker vs. Santos in like 2022? Or was that 2021? 270, 283. That was 2021. I've been doing this since 2021. Never have I ever gone negative 3 weeks in a row. This year has been shit for me so far, if I'm being honest, like actual picks-wise. I'm back in the swing of things. 9-3, baby. I didn't have a Lucas Tracy echelon of picks where I went fucking, but he also doesn't pick women fights, so it's not really that fair. But we got UFC 300 this Saturday. I'm so fucking excited, guys. Oh, dude. Also, the new custom shorts just came out that they, of course, Max Holloway, Gaethje, Pereira, and Zhang Weili, all of them are badass. And apparently there's some UFC new gloves that are coming out. I don't know what's going on, but this week's going to be fucking insane. So, let me know how you guys are feeling going into UFC 300 fight week. I'll see you guys for my picks and breakdown for UFC 300. Alright, peace.